Hey YouTube friends! So before you kind of freak out and think, oh no, has she been crying? Like, I have not. I don't know why my camera is making me look this particular color. Like, I guess, I don't think I filmed anything in this room before, and it's like the walls are applesauce, that's the color. So maybe it makes me look orange for some, I don't know, whatever. I'm fine, I guess, is my point. Anyway, I have two things that I want to talk to you guys about today. And I tried really hard. I have a list of like ideas for videos that I kind of keep and just randomly refer to when I can't come up with anything. And I was looking at that list today and I couldn't really decide on any of that because I just want to talk about something else. So I'm gonna do that. Pretty much everything I do anymore is my job. And for those of you that have missed that, I am a produce clerk at a health food grocery store. What that means is we sell nothing but 100% organic, GMO, and pesticide-free produce. That's the first time in my life I've ever seen a store like that, and I know they exist elsewhere. I've just never been in an area where I could have access to something like that. So it's really, really cool to work at a place like this, and I'm learning a lot of new things. Two things in particular have really stuck out to me. I've been there for, oh wow, it'll be like 2 months by the end of this week, I think. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I've been there for a while now, and I've gotten really used to the routine, and what's really cool is I've learned two big things, one of which revolves around the seasons and how that relates to my practice, but the other of which is just, I never realized how important health and eating right and taking care of the earth and the environment and our bodies is to people who aren't pagan. And I think that's just because I'm so involved in the pagan YouTube community, and I'm not really involved in other like religious communities elsewhere, so I don't hear people talk about it. It's not something that makes my news feed anywhere, shall we say. But I'm shocked all the time by the fact that this stuff is important to everyone, not just pagans. And I'm not going to say all people, like all Christians or all Muslims or all Hindus. I'm not going to say all of those people care. I am going to say I'm noticing a lot of them do, though, where before I wasn't necessarily giving them credit, and I feel bad about that. But I guess one thing that I'm going to kind of tell you a little story to go with this to illustrate. I'm sorry, I'm like dying or something. Anyway, my store that it's not my store, I keep calling it my store. I don't own that store. The store I work at was founded by a group of Christian people. They, I believe, all went to the same church at the time. I don't know that they all now do that. I was kind of talking to my boss about this today. I don't think they all, whatever. They're all really good friends. They all have the same general principles, that kind of stuff. And they talk about God all the time. I've learned so much about the Bible that I never thought I would ever hear about just by walking around and listening to conversations. And it's not like in a bad, obnoxious way, it's just like two people having a discussion in the same room I'm in, so I can't really avoid it. But they're not pushy about it, I guess is what I should say. Or they don't make you feel uncomfortable, I guess. Yes, they're really, really nice, that's my point. They're awesome. And they all decided that they were going to start a health food store together. There are like 3 owners, I think, that all decided they were going to get into this business, and they did, and it's just thrived and gotten bigger and better all the time, and it's amazing. The result is just phenomenal. But what I think is truly amazing is they decided not just to do a health food grocery store thing, they decided to make it 100% organic products, especially for produce. There's no GMOs in our entire store, which is pretty amazing because it's a pretty massive store. It's not like a small, there's a lot of small health food stores I've been in. This is like 3 or 4 times the size of any other health food store I've ever been in, so it's awesome. But I just think it's really cool that these people care so much about that, even though it's a lot harder to get the produce and it's a lot more expensive for them and it's more expensive for our customers. They try and knock the price down as low as they possibly can, and for what you're actually paying for, we have some really good prices most of the time. So I think it's just amazing to me that that store was started by Christians, because every time I walk around, all I can think of is like, this store is the most pagan place I've been to other than a New Age shop, because that's how it feels to me, because it's everything that paganism is in a store. Minus like crystals, because we don't have that at our store. But we have everything else, including incense, so it's pretty cool. And the other thing that's really cool to me is not just that it's run by Christians, but that all kinds of people shop at that store. I see like really awesome dressed, like, I don't even know what to call it, I'm ignorant, so forgive me if I offend anyone, but it's like African people dressed up in like traditional, like awesome African outfits, like super cool looking. We had a family of Muslims come into the store today, adorable little girl with her mom shopping. We had, I've seen nuns. We get Mennonite and Amish people in the store a lot. There's just people from all walks of life, pretty much. Like, you see people I would never have expected. I've seen some of them. My favorite, this is like just not the area for that type of thing to be in, but I saw the most gangster looking dude come into the store one day, and I'm just like, did he come in the wrong store? And he spends a long time like looking at this produce thing, and then he comes up and he's just like, comes over and starts asking me real serious questions about like our oranges and like all this different stuff. I was just like, whoa, I never would have expected somebody who has that appearance to care about their health that much. And he's been in our store multiple times. I just think that's awesome. So I've learned a lot, and I feel really bad, I guess, for always thinking that that was just a pagan thing when it's clearly something that's becoming important to everyone, and that makes me feel really good. And I feel like a lot of that is the pagan community's doing, because I think we were doing it before a lot of other people, and so we've kind of helped bring awareness to it, which is awesome. It's like a collective thing everyone from all walks of life has accomplished, and it makes me feel happy. The other thing that I've learned, number 2 on this list, this is perhaps more important, I guess, to my pagan practice in a way, specifically. I have been lucky enough in the 2 months I've been working there to experience a Sabbat. I was there for Lunasaw. Yay! I will be there hopefully for Mabon too, so got like a month or so to wait on that one. But what this has taught me is all kinds of stuff about the seasons and how food really does relate to the Wheel of the Year in a very specific way. What I mean by this is I will just give you background here. I always thought that the thing that I did the best in my pagan practice was to celebrate the seasons well. And I went out of my way to make an awesome altar. I went out of my way to always cook meals that were supposedly like went with the holiday and all of the ingredients and blah blah blah. And I would like get up in the morning for like Litha and several holidays actually, but especially Litha, and like watch the sunrise, and then I go back to bed and I would like do all of these. And it's hilarious because I see the sunrise every day now. I get up at 4 a.m. almost every single day for work. So on Lunasaw, I got to watch the sunrise right as I was going into work, so it was really cool. But I see nature in a totally new way when you work with produce and you touch produce every single day. And it's nuts that so many things that I always thought were in season when I shopped at other grocery stores are not in season at all. Definitely not in any way. And I don't think people realize, like, I always had like an herb garden that I tried to grow. I always tried to do tomatoes. Like, I tried really hard to like do my own little plant stuff to feel connected, being that I lived in like an apartment and things like that. There's only so much I could do. And by the way, I'm not trying to like talk down to anybody. If that's like all you do, I am right there with you, because that's all I've ever done. So don't feel like I'm chewing you out or something. I want people to realize it goes so much deeper than that. And you don't realize that till you're really in touch with the farming community specifically. And I always thought that I was in touch with it, and I was not. So it's nuts though, because like, I understand the Wheel of the Year, and I know we have 3 harvest festivals, and I know what those are, and I know when they take place and all this, but I never truly understood that they are harvest festivals, and that right about that time of the year we're seriously changing like all of the stuff that's in season. I learned that when I worked in produce, and I found out what went out of season and what came in. It was awesome. I've also learned that there are a lot of things that even we sell like year-round that aren't always in season. A really good example is apples. Me and my coworker were trying to figure out how they probably do this. We think there's some kind of like vacuum, like airtight thing where basically apples, they sell apples year-round despite that they're not in season. Like, I don't think they're in season here right now. I'm pretty sure that's why we were talking about it. I'm still a produce noob as far as understanding stuff about specific things most of the time, so sorry for my ignorance, but I'm learning. I also discovered that just because it's not supposed to be in season doesn't mean it might not have like a random crop that comes in. Really good example is blood oranges are a winter variety of orange, and we somehow got a shipment in from a local farmer. Like, he's got them growing right now. We don't know how, but he did. So we've got Valencias and blood oranges, which are kind of the two furthest apart. You have Valencias, navels, and then blood oranges. Maybe there's something else there that I don't know about, but that's sort of the order that they come in season in, and we have Valencia and blood oranges, but no navels. So there's that. I guess the point I'm making is there's a lot of stuff. I'm just kind of rambling, and I know that too, I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff that goes into the seasons and like how that really does relate to the meal you cook to celebrate a Sabbath and the snack food you eat leading up to that, or maybe like whatever you use in ritual. Like if there is a certain thing you're using, I know a lot of people don't necessarily use cakes every time. They use different kinds of things, which I personally am a huge fan of doing. But it's probably a good idea to use something that is specifically in season. Like, don't eat grapes if grapes aren't in season for that holiday. It just doesn't really make sense. So learning what is or isn't in season is important. And what I would say to every pagan, even if you're like a homesteading type of person and you've got a lot of this that you're growing yourself, I still think it's a good idea to get in touch with the local farmers market, and especially if you can with local produce people that work in stores like this, and just talk to them about what's in season, what's not in season, what do they recommend, what's having difficulty this year in your area, that kind of stuff. Like, actually get involved in your area with the food you're eating. It's like, it's such a more awesome experience. More awesome. It's super cool when you can actually relate everything you put in your body every day to your spirituality. And I know a lot of people are like kitchen witch, you know, where you cook with the spices and the herbs and you like do stuff for protection or health and whatnot. That's great. That is not what I'm referring to right now. I'm talking about just what you eat for lunch. Like what you're eating for like a salad. What do you put in your salad? Why don't you use the stuff that's in season right now as a way of getting closer to that specific Sabbath? Just my 2 cents, since I've been rambling now for like 13 minutes, so I'm gonna stop. See you guys soon.